Welcome back to New Realities. I'm Alan Steinfeld. I was just thinking, it was 20 years ago that I interviewed Peter Benson,
Yep.
inspiration, Slim Sperling. I remember exactly where I was, Peter.
Yeah.
I was in West Hampton, New York, and Slim had come out to visit this woman, Susan. She invited me to interview him. And he told me all about technology that you are now taking to the next level.
Absolutely.
Welcome to New Realities. My name is Alan Steinfeld, and each week I like to bring people to the show who are pushing the envelope of what we can know, how we think, and how this transformation in consciousness is occurring. And tonight's guest is someone who's really understands that and works with a new technology that is helping us cleanse that, evolve that, heal the planet, heal ourselves, and really just uplifting humanity. His name is Slim Sperling. Thank you, Slim, for being here.
Well, thank you, Ellen, for inviting me and having me on the show.
So,
Yeah.
Slim, that interview with Slim inspired you?
Oh, absolutely. Slim Sperling. The interview I saw was yours first, and I went through all that and the Tensor Technology and the healing that could be happening with that it just seemed very profound. And at that junction of my life, it was really something that I could really get into.
Wow. Yeah, and I didn't know anything about it. I mean, Slim had these copper, which you're now using,
Yes, absolutely.
these copper wires that were in the sacred cubits, and he said he could heal energies on the earth, change cloud. So what was it in that interview that particularly inspired you?
Well, as I was going through that life change for me, it was like, okay, this is something I could do. I was a mechanic for 15 years, engineering technician, going on 20 years. So working with metals and torches and doing all the stuff that he was doing to create these, I was like, I can do this. And when I read his books, he open sourced the entire gambit of everything he learned through all of his experimentation and trial and error with all the stuff he did.
Well, let's tell people what Slim actually did, because we're going to roll in some of the video, but what was the basis of his work? I know it was 20 years ago, I should remember, but what was the basis of his work?
So what he did is he found that when you take a single wire and folded it back over, the tool's down here, take one wire, take it like that, and you fold it over and then twist it in a clockwise fashion to create a positive energy field. And then what Slim did is like, okay, when he brazed it back on, it was like, okay, this creates energy. But what happened is he actually took the cubit length from the Great Pyramid of Giza, and then it changed the game.
And we made the discovery that it would change the quality of water instantaneously.
These twisted wires would change the quality once they were put into a
once it was made into a loop. And then later in our readings in advanced quantum physics, we found the term tensor, reported by John Archibald Wheeler, who wrote a book in 1957 titled Geometrodynamics. So the measurement of the Earth and the dynamics of that mathematical discovery.
Right.
And he said, any loop of wire creates a tensor.
A tensor meaning a field of energy, in a sense.
A field of energy. This is a mathematical calculation. It's called a minimal surface.
So it emits just some kind of energy field that can be measurable.
Yeah. So,
because that cubit length, he told me, was a sacred length, and even twisting it, it still holds its sacred vibration.
Correct.
That was surprising for me.
Absolutely. No, that was it.
So you saw that. And you heard it, but you weren't into the energy stuff so much, or were you?
Not yet. I was actually coming into it. I was like, I was just understanding what was going on. And when I first started creating the tensor rings that Slim was talking about, they didn't work when I first started making them. So for me, it was more of, okay, where I wasn't in the right place, my intentions weren't right. So I learned, and I was going to, sound baths, meditations. And as I got better and more in tune, that's when they really started turning on. And when I built this big one, I was actually brazing it on the bench, and it turned on. It was like sticking my finger in it out. I jumped out.
Well, how do you know when it turns on?
when I actually finished the braze. As soon as I actually brazed it, I could feel it. And I was standing in like an electric pond.
What's brazing it mean?
Soldering, welding.
Oh, so it was the sacred cubit,
Yep.
And you had twisted it just
Yep.
like Slim Spirit, but your intention wasn't there. And when you had the intention and you finished the welding,
Yep. You
felt the vibration.
Absolutely. No, it was like standing in energy. And I got out of it and I was like, whoa, that was insane. Oh no, it was really.
How many times did it take for you to get to that?
It took me about 3 months.
Actually. Oh, 3 months.
Yeah, I wasn't working on it all the time. I built a couple, they didn't work, and I kept on working on myself. And I'm like, I know I can get this to work.
You knew it was going to work.
Yeah.
Did you know what to expect though?
No, not even close.
Did you ever have one of Slim's rings?
Not at first, no. Oh. I do have one at home now, yes.
I have to say, when I saw Slim that time, and he did a whole 1-day workshop with all his tools. Yeah. I thought I had like this hernia in the side, but from lifting someone, I put all those tools on, and then after that treatment, it was totally gone. It was then it's like, oh, Slim, you really have something here.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, so you took that, you turned it on, and what are you doing now with the work, and then what you've developed on your own?
Okay, so what Slim did is he gave everybody the blueprint and the understanding of the technology enough so that, okay, so he had the sacred cubit, he had the lost cubit, and I think he had the empowerment cubit or harmony. And then from there, everybody else started making them. And then people that were gifted started dowsing in different cubit lengths and different tensor rings. Oh, one of them is like the Solomon's cubit. Changing the color of sound.
Really, the color of sound.
So we use
that's way beyond Slim, right? Or
it's the same technology. It's just something that he never went into.
What does that mean, changing the color of sound?
So we use it on like crystal bowls or brass bowls, or even put it underneath gongs. If it's big enough, you put it underneath the gong. When you put it underneath the bowl, the resonance literally changes. So the sound of the bowl gets more pristine, if you want to call it that. It gets louder.
Wait, so you take one of these twisted wire, copper, and you put it under the crystal bowl, and the sound changes.
Yep. And then you know how you spin up a bowl?
Yeah.
They resonate longer too.
Why? What's going on? What is the science behind the copper wires?
It's actually, as Slim found out in his understandings, it was John Archibald Wheeler. He actually researched
the
scientist from the Manhattan Project.
Yeah, right.
You know, and that's where he found it. He put a wire together and he created an energy field. They had no use for that, so they shelved that, and it was in his book, 1957.
What book is that?
I'd have to actually look at the name, but it was John Archibald Wheeler. It's his book from 57.
Yeah. He actually invented the term black holes.
Yes, he did.
I mean, absolutely. He was quite a major scientist.
And then Manhattan Project, you got to be something to be there.
Right. So then he got into this stuff. So anyway, so what about him though? What did he do?
So he discovered the actual tensor field.
Okay.
They didn't know really what it was.
What is a tensor field?
So a tensor field, if you want to understand the basics of it, if anybody has ever blown bubbles, like a little ring and blow bubbles.
Right.
Okay. So if you put regular water in that, the surface tension should hold it, right? But it doesn't. So when you add soap to water, it makes water wetter. It's a surfactant. So water actually gets into nooks and crannies. So it has less surface tension.
Okay.
So why would it actually be held inside of a ring?
Yeah.
Blowing bubbles, you're actually seeing a tensor field right there.
Oh, now I'm starting to understand what you mean. The bubble, the
film in
the membrane
yeah.
of the bubble is a tensor.
That's a tensor field that you're blowing through and creating bubbles out of.
Oh.
What his report was, if you dip this loop of wire in a soap solution, like you're going to blow bubbles, like every kid on the planet has done,
right,
that the soap solution is actually hanging on this tensor energy field.
Oh, I see. That's created by the circle.
That's created by this metal loop.
And when you twist it, it even increases that. Is that the idea?
No, the twist is to create a positive energy field.
Oh, because you twist it in a certain way? Like you can twist it one way?
Yeah, if we just had one single wire here.
Yeah.
we would have a negative energy field on one side and a positive on the other.
Okay. But you've twisted these wires, one wire twisted.
A single wire doubled back on itself and twisted.
Creates what?
This, well, it still creates a tensor, but the energy field projecting from the center is positive on both sides.
On both sides. So these things that you're doing surrounded by wires is a sort of bubble of energy you're actually creating.
All tensor rings are like it was, the way Slim explained it is actually a torus. It creates a torus field. And he was actually showing you can actually, when he was on taking out clouds and focusing.
Yeah, he was taking out clouds. I remember. We should show that part of the interview.
Absolutely, we can definitely do that.
Yeah, roll that in. How'd you get into the environmental stuff then? Because that's a...
Well, we used one of these larger rings that you were showing here.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see if we could influence objects at a distance. I was pretty sure we could.
Right.
So a fellow...
living objects or any object?
Well, this happened to be water.
Oh, okay.
And a fellow I was working with at the time, a scientist, computer expert, inventor, had developed a machine called a molecular scanner.
Okay.
And this device was capable of detecting two coins clinking together a mile away.
Because it somehow measured the whatever.
Yeah, he's measuring some
frequency.
Unknown factor.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know that he even knew how it worked.
Okay, but he was able to detect.
But what he was recording was the microwave emissions from natural substances, hence the molecular or atomic signature of various materials. So his laboratory was up in the mountains 10 miles from where I lived.
Okay.
And I called him one day and I said, "Do you have time to do a little experiment?" "Well, I think I can find time." So he pointed his detector vertically.
Up the sky.
And there just happened to be a little bitty lenticular shaped cloud right above his lab. So I zeroed in on it. And when I actually, had the beam of the ring centered on it, then he could see a change in his meter.
So these can affect clouds from
a great distance. Now, 10 miles is pretty much line of sight.
Right.
And to my eye, any of these clouds over here, about 10 miles.
Okay.
So this ring is actually projecting a beam like a searchlight or a flashlight to that distance.
10 miles, that's amazing.
And it would probably go a little bit further.
And then what are you doing with the clouds? The clouds then are responding to this beam in what kind of way?
Well, the molecular frequency goes very high, and then his instrument would read a drop, a falling off, which we now know means that the water had gone superconducting.
Okay, I'm not sure I know what that means.
Well, all I can say is it became superconducting.
A high energy,
very high energy,
field.
And it changed the frequencies and made a lot of changes in the molecular structure.
And did the clouds then dissipate? Or?
No, this cloud persisted for some period of time afterwards. And while he's recording this, I asked him if he could convert that to an acoustic or sound signal.
Okay.
He said sure. So he starts, the computer puts it on the speakers and starts playing this frequency he just recorded.
Coming from
from the water in the cloud, which was influenced by the ring.
So it wasn't doing that before the ring was influencing
No,
it.
no, he had a whole different set of signatures on the.
So he could read the actual molecular change in the cloud through an
Yes.
acoustic signal.
So when he played that signal back as an audio program, all of a sudden he said the room smells like ozone, like a mountain meadow in the spring.
You mean the acoustic signal was creating a field effect in his laboratory?
In the laboratory.
Wow.
It had released the scent of fresh air.
Wow, that's amazing.
And he said the room, he had a dead mouse in the furnace, so the room didn't smell too good.
I've had that.
Yeah.
But this is not the size of a cubit.
Those are different qubits than the one he talks about. So we have the different tensor rings here. So one of the qubit rings he did use is this one, the outside one, and the outside one of that one as well. This is the lost qubit.
What does that mean? Where's that from, the lost qubit?
I believe it was one of the ones that he actually discovered. It was the sacred qubit and then the lost qubit, and then the one in between. They had to do some math to figure
This
it
is all
out.
from Egypt, right?
I believe this is all from Egypt. Yep. And this qubit is working on higher heart, emotional field, etheric body, and DNA repair. According to
is that something you discovered, or did
no? This is Slim.
Slim discovered that the lost qubit was about heart
Yep.
opening.
Absolutely.
I see. So what do you do here when you make your little devices?
So we're utilizing the tensor ring. So we have the tensor ring here, but now we're actually holding the crystals inside the field at all times. So the crystals are amplified by the tensor ring.
Oh, it's like as if it intensifies the actual crystal.
It intensifies it. So you're utilizing a specific frequency, the tensor ring of the lost qubit. So it's a heart energy. So it connects, like when you're wearing it here, it's connecting to your heart chakra. And it's powered by that, and it interacts with you.
It opens actually, it does open.
Yeah, it does. It works very powerful. Yeah, you can feel it.
I can, actually. I mean, you gave me one. Thank you.
Yes.
But yeah. Okay, so then?
So what happens is the tensor field, the film inside, actually intersects with the crystals. And then as a tensor ring's natural ability, like Slim showed, is you can actually point it at something, and it's like a floodlight of energy pointing right at a camera right there, or right at me, or right at my heart chakra. And what it does is it actually takes the crystal energy and projects it inside that column of energy. So you're actually getting, and what we've kind of figured, it's like the small amount of crystals in here is like carrying around a couple pounds of crystals.
Really?
Because energy-wise.
Because you're amplifying.
Correct.
These don't look, are these crystals in here? Or
yes, absolutely.
Oh, because it looks like a sort of, how do you actually do, I don't want to give away any trade secrets, but they look flattened.
They are.
So you do each one by hand.
They're all handmade, yes.
And so you do a lot of soldering, though, right? Is it soldering?
Well, this is in resin. So what we do is we actually pour the resins, and then we actually sand them down.
You pour the resins to the inside.
Yeah, we pour the resin, then we clean it all up.
So you make the outside, and then you put into a resin that melts. And then you sand it down. And then do you test each one to see which ones they're good for? And
what we do is they're created from the etheric energy field of who they were asked to be made for. So this is where my journey differs from Slim Sperling.
Yeah, talk about how that does differ.
So when I was going through this life change and I found Slim Sperling, what happened was I was having a healing session, and the next thing I know, we're closing the session, and Metatron came in and said, I need you to make some anklets.
Were you in touch with Metatron before that?
No, not at all. Okay. And I didn't know who he was or anything like that. So it was really interesting. So what happened is he came in, he says, I need you to make an anklet out of tensor ring, which that's what these are. And they're flattened. They have the 5 crystals in it with copper mesh over them. And he basically said, make those, and it'll keep your frequency yours as we go through this time.
Really? So you wear these when you make each one of them?
Not necessarily when I'm making them, because that way I want to stay connected with everything. But what they do is, like, when you're in an environment with a lot of people, you can actually be energetically protected from it. When Metatron came in, it says these are going to keep your frequency yours as we go through this time. And it was really interesting. And what was funny about it, it's like, okay, I didn't know how to make them. And 3 of the 5 crystals I heard of, but 2 of them I had never heard of before. So I had to go and find them.
And you got that from Metatron psychically?
Well, actually, it wasn't. At that time, I wasn't fully open yet. So this was a message from the person doing the work with me. And she channeled it right for me, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting.
Was it Vivian? No.
No, there was another lady here.
I have to say, Peter Benson is married to Vivian Chavez. They are a great couple.
My beautiful wife.
Yes, and she's a fan. And if you're watching this channel, you've seen her on New Realities.
Absolutely.
So they told you what crystals to use to make these tensor. At least, would you call this a tensor field too?
Yes, it's a flat ring, so it's actually been flattened out. So it is still a ring. You can see it folded down. It's flattened here, and it's opened up in the middle to hold the crystals. And the copper mesh is over it. And then right now we put a plastic cover on it to actually protect the copper mesh.
Oh, why did you want to do that?
For the first versions of it, these have been through prototyping many times. After wearing them for a few months, you'll notice that the copper starts breaking down, and the little wire that's made from the mesh will actually start poking you.
Oh, because of the sweat and whatever on the body.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So you just these are you selling too?
Oh yes.
And what do these do?
These, so as Metatron said, they keep your vibration yours. We had a young lady from San Francisco who was very visual in her energy understandings. And she put them on, and it's like, okay, so if you visualize, you have your energy torus. So our energy torus is a donut energy field generated from us. And she goes, okay, now visualize that capping the top and bottom. So now anything that's coming into your field is bouncing around it or flowing over your field.
Oh, by wearing one of these things, instead of being caught up in the energy, the energy will just pass
right over you.
Really? And that's because you're sort of creating a bubble, so it doesn't go into the bubble, it passes beyond the bubble.
Right. So Metatron's design is literally modifying your field into a shield.
Oh.
And it's his design. It's not mine, it's his.
Well,
he told me to make it, yes. So I create them, but this is all of his design. And it's crazy how they work.
Really? Awesome. Are you in touch with Metatron still?
He comes in and he's giving me guidance on different things that we do. And Michael's come in and Shamuel has come in. And there's one other out there that we don't know who's coming in, but we have another pendant that is actually from a different source as well.
So what's the difference in these small ones? Are these also qubits of sorts?
Yes, that is actually a lost qubit.
That's a lost,
but
the other one's a lost qubit too. But they're different sizes.
Yes. So what we found out is so when you create a single qubit, so it's a harmonic. So if I take one and I cut it in half, it's a harmonic.
Oh, even the half of the qubit is a qubit.
1.5 to 2.5.
Oh.
So this is what we're doing when we're doing the harmonics, and this is where it creates a field of equal frequency at different sizes.
Oh.
So that little one is actually for pets.
This one's for pets?
Yeah.
What does it do for the pets?
That one is Archangel Michael pendant.
Okay.
And that's, let's see, this is an Archangel Michael pendant, the full-size one.
Oh, you have two inside. Yeah, you have the inner one inside.
Yes, it's the same size as that one right here. The inner wing is the same size as that.
Right. So what makes it an Archangel Michael?
When we made the anklets, we had a problem where a friend of ours was wearing them and couldn't wear it anymore because her husband was giving her a hard time. And it was too woo-woo for him.
Okay.
So she had to take them off, and she gave them back to me within like 3 days. So at that point, I was just like, okay, if these are supposed to keep people's frequency there, stable while we go through these times, Metatron, how are we going to make this work so that everybody could wear it, and it would be pretty much invisible. Nobody would even notice.
Right.
And then Metatron basically came back in and said, this is the pendant, and we're making pendants in that design now.
Oh, so if someone wears this, what effect will they have? Like, yeah, that's important.
Yes, that is super important.
That's why we're doing
we have the 4 different pendants right now, and they all have a different, basically a base modality. The Metatron is like putting on a etheric armor. Okay. And you feel it kind of compressing. It's very much, when you put it on, it's like,
okay.
Just visualize like an energetic version of plate armor.
Which one's the Metatron?
I don't have one here.
Okay. But
we have Michael's right here.
Okay. So the Metatron's a big protection of the field.
Correct.
Okay.
And then after we got the Metatron pendant ironed out, working through that, Michael came in and said, I want this one.
Oh.
And then this is where the Michael pendant came in.
Is this That's the Michael.
You have Michael too.
Oh, okay.
We have a couple. And I'm actually wearing one here, but this one is actually gold plated. So this is the new version.
And gold, of course, is the best.
It's even stronger. Yeah. Even Slim Sperling was doing that. They had them in copper,
Oh,
silver,
right.
and gold.
Yeah.
So we're getting into that realm with Slim's technology. We're actually doing the same thing. We're moving into the plating so that we can actually utilize the energies of those different metals.
And so what does the Michael pendant do?
So the anklets close your field down that way, and they're very grounding. So the pendants that are based on that Metatron energy, so all of the pendants have that same shielding effect to some degree, depending on the size.
Right.
So instead of actually closing down your torus, it creates a barrier just above the layers of energy off your body, your physical body. So it's not the giant torus; it's like a very close to your body.
Oh, really? And what does that do for someone if they're wearing it? I mean, it's close to the but how does that interact with, let's say, other people, or what is it?
So it's going to basically close your field down, similar to the way the big one does, but more personal. Okay, and it's also it's above the emotional field, so it's blocking that out. So you're not going to feel anybody else's energies that way. So it's actually very safe in that form. So the Metatron is the armor, which is the really strong one. The Michael has smaller crystals, so it's not as potent in that form. But this is the but part.
Okay.
It has more crystals in here that'll actually allow you to do more. So the Michael has turquoise in it, which is calming your field. Has selenite in its middle here, which is actually very cleansing of your field. And green mica, which is an emotional clearing tool. So when you put the Michael on, it's more of you feel literally like Michael's right behind you. You feel like you're empowered. You feel like you're very much in your own.
It's more empowering than like protecting from
Correct.
like. I see. You know, one of the things I just want to mention in that interview with Slim from 20 years ago was talking about healing earth energies.
Yes.
Do you do that as well?
We're working on different tools that are coming in. Though they're guiding me to do another tool. But we're also looking at different forms and different ways to utilize these tools.
Like what form?
Like the anklets.
Yeah.
We had another message from another gifted individual just literally last week. We're taking a pair of anklets and putting one on each bedside table. It creates a bubble of energy around your bed.
Wow, that would be great.
Yes,
for bed. I need that to someplace hard to sleep if there's like in a new place. So wow. Now also you could also put that in the earth, but this one is 3 inside. Now it looks special, but what is the special thing about this?
So that one is a multi-dimensional pendant.
All right.
That one came in right after Michael's came in. I was creating Michael's, and I get the download that basically said, "Okay, you need to make one with 3 rings." And I'm like, what? And then I continue working on Michael's, and then it's like, no, you need to make one with 3 rings. So basically, they told me to stop doing what I was doing and figure it out. And so actually, I made all the tensor rings I had available to me. I made them all, and then I figured out which one fit inside each other the right way. And the ones that fit the best were literally the third eye, crown chakra, and star chakra tensor rings.
Wow.
So that one literally will open you up to your higher self.
Wow. Well, let me ask you another sort of person question. I know you married an Arcturian.
Yes.
I married an Arcturian's name of Peter's biography. But what did the Arcturians say about this? Do you get any information from them?
They haven't really said a whole lot. Vivian tries to keep
out of your business.
Well, it's not so much. She tries not to interfere with the energies of what I'm trying to bring forward.
Right, because it's your creation.
Correct. These are actually, they're my creation. Yes, they're made by my hands.
Right.
But these are literally a angelic guided tool.
Well, I think they're amazing.
Absolutely.
And I think so. Your next phase will do more like moving from people to land to environments and setting the field of the environment.
Yes. Like Slim has what do you call those energy? There was an amplifier of some sort with the 3 rings.
Yeah, it was a 3
in a sphere. And it was putting a coil in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are very good. I made a few of those, and I've actually put in made it so I could actually put crystals in the middle.
Wow. Oh yeah.
Modify the frequencies of it and put it into like a quartz or a selenite for cleansing. So we've actually experimented with those.
Well, if you wear them all, is that like no, I think one sort of overrides some of the others, right?
They work together,
They
which is
do.
actually really interesting. We've had folks do well, we do sell them as like an anklet and a pendant as an armor set because you're multiple layered energy armor. But we've had folks, multiple people get like a multi-dimensional and a Michael, or a Shamuel and a Michael, because the Shamuel is more
Shamuel.
Shamuel.
Who is Shamuel?
Archangel Shamuel. It's
I didn't
the
know there
double
was.
ring.
Oh, okay.
And the Shamuel is one to know yourself.
Really?
Yes. And Shamuel came in and told me that you wanted a pendant that was actually designed for stress and trauma.
Huh. So you have 4 different types right now.
Yes.
And you're developing the anklets, of course,
Yes.
too, which just grounds you. And then, well, how can people buy this? Where should they look? I mean, where can they find you how they order it?
They're available at energiesofservice.com.
That's your website.
That's my website. Energiesofservice.com. I'm on all the social media, so you can find me on Facebook, YouTube channel, Instagram, LinkedIn.
Now, do you test each one to make sure it vibes?
This is the part where it's like I don't need to.
Ah.
Because of what we're doing and what the intentions when we're creating the tool. The energies are exactly what the individual who purchases one needs. And we've seen this at event after event after event. It's the pendants. We'll put a bunch of pendants out there, and somebody will come across and just look at it. They'll see one right away, and it's like, that's it. And then they're like, well, that one's okay, but that one, I like that one better. It looks better. The crystals look a little bit better. But this one is talking to me. And it's like, that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, no, it's great. I just made a new pendant there.
Yep.
The
4
golden
tensor rings.
4 tensor rings right there, ladies and gentlemen. No, this is great, Peter. Thanks for doing the work, and I'm sure Slim would be very proud of you for doing this.
Absolutely.
And let's keep rolling more and more of the Slim in with this, so they're getting your teachings and Slim's.
Absolutely.
And as you keep developing, let's keep doing some.
Absolutely.
Because we're at a lot of the same events.
Absolutely, we are. We should go to a lot of the same.
We just spent 3 weeks in Egypt together, and that was fun. Did that actually affect these at all? The
they helped a lot of people with the energies of the environment. Really, really did. It helped me. I know that. At the anklets, I wore an armor set the entire time.
Wow, I should have done that.
So that helps a lot. So it's one of those things. It's like they are very helpful protecting yourself.
Wow. Wow. Peter Benson.
Absolutely.
Thanks for spending some time with me here, and I look forward to your development, because you're just fresh out of the box, right? How long you been
doing this? 8 years.
Oh, 8 years. I guess you're not that fresh.
Not fresh out of the box.
Okay, you're in the box for a while. Okay. No,
yeah.
but it keeps developing. It feels like it's going to keep going and getting bigger, and as you get more downloads, it's really going to be something a lot of people will want. These.
Oh, absolutely. No, it's the reason that Metatron came in and the Archangels are coming through is so that people can actually get themselves protected. And it's a simple process. So if you wanted to, let's say, feel the energies of like a pendant without without actually purchasing one right off the bat, you have to hold the intention, but you can do it. So you go onto the website and look at the image of that pendant, visualize it like it's right on your heart chakra. Now, all you do is actually tell it to reset for you, and then tell it to go to full power.
Oh, you actually,
intention. Just tell it.
The intention.
Yeah, you can do the same thing right there. Yep. And it doesn't have to be your heart chakra. When you're wearing it all day long, yes, it makes more sense to put it here. But if you want it to in a meditative state, you can put it on your throat chakra, third eye, crown chakra.
I feel that.
You can do them anywhere, and they will continue to work.
Well, thank you, Peter. This is really great. I'm really happy to know you and to know the work you're doing, and happy to know that Vivian's in good hands there.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks. This is Alan Steinfeld with Peter Benson on New Realities. But look for Peter's work, because I think everyone can get a little boost and have this beautiful field around them, because sometimes you need that.
Absolutely. It's definitely a benefit to have.
Thanks, Peter.
Thanks, Alan.
Thanks for being on the show, and thanks for watching, and see you again soon.
Absolutely.
So very soon.